Have you ever had one of those days where everything should feel perfect, but deep down, something still feels off? Maybe you finally got that promotion or spent the weekend in a beautiful place, laughing with friends, and yet later that night, a quiet emptiness creeps in. Not sadness, not pain, just a subtle, hollow silence, and then comes the guilt. Why am I not happier? I have everything I once wanted. What's wrong with me? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, there's nothing wrong with you. What might be wrong is the idea of happiness you've been taught to chase. Because somewhere along the way, we were sold a fantasy. That happiness should be constant, that if we're doing life right, we should feel good most of the time. That being grateful should cancel out all discomfort. But here's the quiet truth no one says out loud. The more you chase happiness, the more it slips through your fingers. Like trying to hold water in your hands, the tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. We live in a culture obsessed with feeling good. But beneath all the motivational quotes and positive vibes only mantras, there's a silent epidemic of emotional exhaustion. People smiling on the outside while silently wondering, why doesn't this feel like enough? Here's why. We've confused happiness with stimulation. We've mistaken comfort for fulfillment. And worst of all, we've turned emotional balance into a race where you're only winning if you're feeling great all the time. But the human mind doesn't work like that, and the research backs it up. Martin Seligman, one of the founding figures in positive psychology, once said something that stuck with me. Happiness is not the end goal. It's the byproduct of a life lived with meaning. In other words, the more you try to get happiness, the more it evades you. But when you stop chasing it, it starts to show up on its own. Because here's the trap most people fall into. They try to force positivity. They should themselves into fake gratitude. They suppress uncomfortable feelings because they're supposed to feel good. And that inner resistance creates tension, like pressing a beach ball underwater. Eventually it comes shooting back up, harder and messier. So if you've ever felt broken for not feeling happy, let me offer you a reframe. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just tired of pretending to feel something you don't. Maybe what you need isn't more happiness, but more space to be fully human. Here's the first technique, and it's going to feel counterintuitive. It's called radical acceptance. Instead of trying to change how you feel, you sit with it. You notice the emotion, even if it's sadness, boredom, irritation, and say, this is what's here right now. I don't have to fight it, I just have to feel it. According to mindfulness expert John Kabat-Zinn, this shift in attitude can transform how you relate to suffering. Because when you stop resisting discomfort, it softens. Try this. Next time you feel off or emotionally flat, pause. Close your eyes. Put your hand on your chest, and instead of trying to fix it, just ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Not everything needs to be fixed. Some things just need to be felt. And strangely, that act of allowing creates a quiet sense of peace. Not joy, not excitement, but something deeper. Stability, grounding, presence. We've been taught to fear negative emotions, but what if they're not enemies, just signals? What if your sadness is pointing to a need you've ignored? What if your emptiness is inviting you to reconnect with something real? Because chasing happiness often means running away from the truth. But facing the truth, even when it's messy, is where genuine peace begins. Here's something most people never realize. Happiness doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from aligning with what actually matters. But most of us were never taught how to do that. Instead, we chase the dopamine rush of progress. The next achievement, the next vacation, the next little hit of validation. And it works, briefly, until the novelty fades, until the mind adapts, and you're left staring at the same ceiling, wondering, why do I still feel empty? This is called the Hedonic Treadmill, a term from behavioral psychology that explains why we adapt to positive changes so quickly that they stop bringing joy. You get used to the new car, the new relationship, the praise at work, and then your brain says, okay, what's next? It's a survival mechanism. But when left unchecked, it turns your entire life into a moving finish line. So here's the second shift, and it's deceptively simple. Stop asking, what will make me happy? Start asking, what will make me proud? Happiness is a feeling, fleeting, but pride, real earned pride, that stays. Try this exercise. At the end of your day, instead of asking if you were happy, ask, did I act in alignment with my values today? Did you show up for someone you love? Did you move your body? Did you speak honestly even when it was hard? These micro moments of integrity are what build emotional strength. And over time, they create a quieter, deeper kind of happiness. One rooted in self-respect, not constant stimulation. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. The happiest people are not the ones who feel good all the time. They're the ones who are okay even when they don't. They've trained themselves to stay grounded in discomfort, to find meaning in struggle, to choose actions that align with who they want to become, not just what feels good in the moment. It's not glamorous. It doesn't sell on Instagram, but it's real, and it lasts. And this brings us to a third, powerful reframe. Stop outsourcing happiness to the future. You don't need the perfect morning routine, the perfect mindset, or the perfect version of yourself to feel okay right now. You need presence. And presence starts with attention. Try this. Take 30 seconds, right now. Look around you. Feel the weight of your body. Listen to the sounds. Notice 3 things you normally ignore. And breathe. This is called sensory grounding, and it's used in both mindfulness and trauma therapy to interrupt the loop of something's missing. Because the truth is, most of your suffering isn't coming from what's wrong. It's coming from your mind, telling you that this moment isn't enough. But it is. You are. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just human. And sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is to stop chasing the high and start building a foundation. Quiet, honest, unshakable. There's a story I once heard. A monk was asked, "What's the secret to peace?" He smiled and replied, "I no longer argue with reality." That sounds poetic. But think about what it really means. Most of your stress doesn't come from life itself. It comes from resisting what is. You feel anxious not because you have too much to do, but because you keep telling yourself you shouldn't be feeling anxious. You feel behind not because there's a deadline, but because your brain says, you should be further ahead by now. It's not the pain, it's the internal fight against it that exhausts you. Here's the third practical shift. Stop trying to feel better. Start getting better at feeling. Most of us were never taught how to feel emotions without judgment. We're told to push through, to numb it out, to stay positive. But suppression isn't strength. It's just emotional debt. And it always collects interest. Instead, try this. The next time a difficult emotion arises, don't fight it. Name it. This is sadness. This is anger. This is disappointment. Then pause. Place your hand on your chest and say, it's okay to feel this. This is called emotional labeling, and research shows it reduces the intensity of distress by activating the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and self-regulation. In other words, naming your emotions gives you power over them. Imagine you're in a storm. You can scream at the wind, or you can step inside, light a candle, and wait. The storm will pass, but you'll still be standing, wiser, softer, stronger. This is the shift the world doesn't teach you. Whereas in naming, don't both around. You don't need to chase happiness. You need to become someone who can hold all of life, the highs, the lows, the stillness in between, without losing yourself. Because here's what no one tells you. You are not meant to feel good all the time. You're meant to feel everything, fully, honestly, without shame. And when you do that, you stop trying to escape reality and start participating in it. That's where real peace lives, not in some perfect version of your life, but in the version you choose to show up for, moment by moment. So here's what we've uncovered. Happiness isn't something you chase. It's what's left when you stop running. From discomfort, from expectations, from yourself. Pleasure fades. Meaning stays. The goal isn't to feel good all the time. The goal is to live in alignment with what actually matters to you, even when it's hard. Emotions are not enemies. They're messengers. And when you learn to listen, without judgment, they guide you home. You don't need to fix your life to feel better. You need to stop believing that feeling bad means something is broken. What if the real power was in simply staying present, especially when it's hard? What if peace isn't a destination, but a skill? And what if your life exactly as it is right now, wasn't a problem to solve, but a story you're still learning how to love. If this message spoke to you, don't just scroll past. Drop a comment below, even just one word. Present. It tells your brain, I'm here. I'm not running anymore. And if this stirred something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear this too. Someone who's been chasing happiness like a finish line when maybe peace was never a race. Thank you for being here. You're not broken. You're just becoming. And that's more than enough.